are these people?
Kind of related to your story, I think, and I think just kind of a theme possibly from tonight would be our response, and I mean talking to people on the ground, our response
Let's see if
to
in the clip I annotate that clip over here. You know, just like let's see if I do that. You know, I hit that little
right.
annotations button. You know what I'm saying?
So I know some other channels have talked are currently or have talked about this in terms of, the Biden administration is basically, for whatever reason or another, um, wanting to, again, I don't know, like give like some chocolates and roses to the Arab community in Dearborn, Michigan, and basically they're like, "Nah, we don't want to meet with Biden in terms of
Okay.
like what you've been doing in Gaza." So actually, funny enough, I pulled this not clip, um, this article from the Detroit News. Always good to try and get local publications where we can get it. So this is great for this. Actually, I did not type out who wrote this. So this was written by Melissa Nann Burke
Who
and
are
Beth
these people?
LeBlanc, who start the title as "Not Welcome Here. Arab leaders cancel Dearborn meeting with Biden campaign manager." So it wasn't Biden himself who was going to, make his appeal for votes. It was, campaign manager. So article continues. The organizer of a planned meeting between President Joe Biden's campaign manager and a group of Arab and Muslim American leaders in Dearborn said it was canceled Friday after some in the wider community objected to the gathering amid fury over Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war. Some Arab American political leaders from Metro Detroit, excuse me, who are Democrats, flatly rejecting any overtures from the Biden campaign until the president advocates for Israel to cease its military assault on Gaza. Asad Turf, who was coordinating the sit-down of Arab leaders and officials with Biden's campaign in Dearborn, said he made the decision to cancel Friday afternoon's group meeting in the best interest of the community. As the community got to learn about the meeting, there was definitely a lot of outrage, and ultimately, the decision was made to cancel the meeting, said Turf, the deputy county executive of Wayne County, whose family is from Lebanon. The meeting was to be between Biden campaign manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez and 10 to 15 Arab American elected officials, office holders, and representatives from the larger community organizations, Turf said. The Biden campaign did not comment on the cancellation of Friday's group meeting. Other meetings between Rodriguez and individual leaders of the Arab community in Michigan went forward Friday, according to two sources. Actually, hold on. Excuse me. The group meeting was among several that Rodriguez was convening with leaders from Michigan, including local elected officials and leaders from the Arab and Palestinian American, Hispanic, and Black communities. The meetings are part of an effort by the White House and Biden re-election campaign to meet with core contingency groups around the country, and the campaign said it will continue to have thoughtful conversations with groups. Turf said the Biden campaign had requested a meeting with Arab leaders and officials in recent weeks as part of the listening tour. Arab leaders from the Muslim and Christian communities had intended to share firsthand the sentiments of the community and estimated that many who supported Biden in 2020 likely won't do so in November, citing 26,000 Palestinians killed in Gaza and thousands of others displaced or facing famine, Turf said. Sorry. Oh. Something in my throat there. Unless something drastic happens, you have lost Arab Americans and Muslim community. At this point, from what I can see, there's no winning them over. That was the idea of meeting, Turf said. Until there is a ceasefire, the overall consensus in the community is that they're not welcome here, essentially. Israel's 3-month assault in Gaza has killed more than 26,000 people, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, which does not distinguish between civilians and combatants. Another 65,000 Palestinians have been wounded since October 7th, when the war was sparked by a bloody assault by Hamas fighters that took 240 hostages and left over 1,200 Israelis dead. Dearborn Mayor Abdullah Hammoud, Wayne County Commissioner Sam Bedoin, and Democratic State Representatives Palas Rafat of Dearborn and Abraham Ayash of Hamtramck were among those invited to the meeting with Biden's campaign manager. Hammoud, Farhat, and Aish declined. Farhat said he agreed with the decision to cancel. The pushback is not just about failed policy, it's about humanity, Farhat said. It's unrealistic to expect that political conversations will re-secure our support for the president when only a ceasefire can truly reopen that door. Ayash, who serves as Michigan's House Majority Floor Leader, said he will not allow our communities to be utilized for political expediency after 110 plus days of US-backed Israeli bombings of Gaza. Since October 7th, I have received zero correspondence from White House, DNC, or MPD, MDP leadership.
CNN, NBC, MSNBC.
About the concerns from our community of the ongoing genocide unfolding in Gaza, Ayash said on social media. And this is actually Hammoud's tweets.
Abdullah.
President Biden's national campaign manager was sent to Michigan to meet with a group of Arab and Muslim American leaders on Friday. I was invited to attend.
Sure.
This is not a moment for electoral politics. Over the course of 111 days, Israel has murdered more than 26,000 Gazians and displaced over 2 million with no end in sight.
That's the only way you can find room to pay for it.
The lives of Palestinians are not measured in poll numbers. Their humanity demands action, not lip service. When elected officials view the atrocities in Gaza only as an electoral problem, they reduce our indescribable pain into a political calculation.
Come on, man.
Our immediate demand is crystal clear. The Biden administration must call for a permanent ceasefire to the genocide it is defending and funding with our tax dollars. Dearborn residents have tirelessly protested and organized in demand of a ceasefire. As a mayor, I follow their leads. Hold on to that because we're going to get more into that later.
Gotcha.
Community engagement is powerful when it's used to shape policies that save lives. These conversations must be had with policymakers, not campaign staff. I will not entertain conversations about elections while we watch a live stream genocide backed by our government. So, Hammoud giving the Biden administration the business in terms of his thoughts over the Israel-Gaza assault. Prominent state Democrats have voiced concern about Arab Americans in Michigan who tend to vote Democratic. Staying home or even voting for the Republican nominee in November could have a significant impact in the battleground state. Biden defeated former President Donald Trump in Michigan in 2020 by about 154,000 votes or 3 percentage points. Michigan has among the largest communities of Arab Americans in the country, with over 300,000 residents of Middle Eastern or North African ancestry, according to Census Bureau estimates. If a sizable fraction of them swings from Democrat to Republican, Turf noted, that could be a problem for Biden. Or not even just stay home.
Yeah.
Lexis Zaydan, a 31-year-old Christian Palestinian American and activist in the community, said she was invited to the meeting but felt it was important to understand the community's disposition toward it first. She said the resounding feedback she received was Biden and his team are not welcome here. Biden also questions Biden's decision to send a campaign official to meet with the group rather than White House staff. It is completely tone deaf for a senior campaign official to believe that could set foot in this community. I believe we would like to meet with a campaign team of a murderer, Zaydan said. Abed Ayoub, National Executive Director for the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee, said he asked for a group meeting to be canceled. There's a collective effort within the community nationally to hold the Biden campaign accountable, and there's an insistence that any meeting needs to be after the implementation of a ceasefire, Ayoub said. The campaign did this quietly because they know this is our position, Ayoub said in statements to set up the meeting. Osama Siblani, publisher of the Arab American News in Dearborn, said he did meet Friday with Rodriguez at his office for about 45 minutes, despite pressure not to do so. Siblani said he wanted to convey the disgust.
What a fucking passive aggressive way. That's a baller way to say that. Honestly, it's like fucking
True.
send him my regards. That's pretty much what that fucking shit is. You know. Oh God.
I was frank. I told her exactly what the community feels. I told her they canceled the meeting because they do not feel like the discussion is going to get them anywhere, said Siblani, who supported Biden in 2020 but won't vote for him again. You have to understand the community you are visiting. It consists of Lebanese, Syrian, Palestinians, and Yemenis, and these are the countries that Joe Biden is bombing. This dialogue should have been 3 months ago. No way in hell that we can support him.
Sure.
Rodriguez listened and was gracious and understanding, promising to convey his message to Biden, Siblani said. You're still giving Bibi money. You're still giving him weapons. You're still giving him ammunition to go and kill, Siblani said. I said, we are not even able to discuss it. If you are here to listen, then listen very carefully, because our community is not going to give Biden the vote because we do not trust him. If Biden himself comes to Michigan and requests a meeting with Arab Americans, he's going to be faced with the same thing. People are not going to meet with him, Siblani said.
Yeah. Send him my regards again, pretty much.
Right.
Like,
can you go fuck yourself?
Again, hold on to this.
Yeah.
Because I'm beginning to cook right now. The nonpartisan Cook political report you'll see in a minute last month shifted Michigan's presidential election from the lean Democratic category to toss-up, citing in part Democratic ire at Biden over his deference to Israel in response to the Palestinian casualty rate. The administration since October has sought to engage in dialogue with Arab and Muslim American community leaders about the conflict, including a sit-down in October between Biden and several national leaders at the White House. CNN has reported that leaders in that meeting demanded a ceasefire and urged Biden to show more empathy for Palestinians. It's unclear whether Biden has since met with those other ceasefire advocates, though they frequently interrupt his public speeches and at a Tuesday event held up a banner reading Genocide Joe.
Yep.
I understand their passion, and I've been quietly working with the Israeli government to get them to reduce and significantly get out of Gaza, Biden told an audience in South Carolina after protesters interrupted his remarks earlier this month. Biden has warned that Israel is losing international support and has urged Netanyahu to change his far-right government, saying Israel can't say no to an independent Palestinian state. Well, not just Israel. We are losing international support as well. So it's not just that. And I'm thinking about this. I know other people have said this. People are the most that people would say is, "Oh, we need to get rid of Netanyahu, and everything will be seemingly so much better." The problem isn't Netanyahu.
How about give it to Palestine? How about just give the whole thing to fucking,
Right, but the argument that people generally sometimes make is that Netanyahu is the problem versus Zionism is the problem.
Yes.
This has been like there have been plenty of Netanyahu's, and we've talked about this for many weeks now. Like every president in Israel since 1948 has been perpetuating this Zionist stance against Palestine. So getting rid of Netanyahu is not going to make the situation better. You're just going to get another one of him. Like
Yeah.
even if you get rid of him, to kind of continue what is happening in Palestine right now. So, and the
Yeah.
fact that our country has been complicit in that since 1948, doesn't make it better for ourselves either. But
I mean,
I say all of that. Go ahead, Reef.
Getting rid of Netanyahu is just as bad as getting rid of net on ass Chiefs. But, that's just me.
Right.
Little search engine joke. You know what I'm saying? Gotta fucking net on Bing, I don't know. DuckDuckGo. What do you want from me? His name is Netanyahu.
So,
you can't make a Yahoo joke? Yahoo. A fucking search engine from the 90s anyway.
so
you get it. You get what I'm saying.
Remember that I said that like they've been asking for a ceasefire, right? So while I was prepping last night, night for this story, I came across something very interesting because this is not the first time that this community has called for a ceasefire. So if you go back to the slide.
Yes.
This is a tweet that I saw yesterday from Niraj
Warikoo?
Look at the date.
Okay.
Read that date.
May 18th.
Read that date.
2021, and then year of our Lord.
2021. Right. Zoom out.
Yeah.
He tweeted back in May 2021. I have never seen our community so angry. Said an Arab American leader organizing one of three protests planned today by several Arab American groups against President Biden as he visits Dearborn, a city almost half Arab American Muslim. So he wrote an article.
And this was 18th.
18th
May.
In the Detroit Press 2021.
Okay.
Right? He writes, Arab Americans plan to protest Biden's visit to Dearborn amid tensions over Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
I see.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as tensions heat up in the Middle East between Israelis and Palestinians, Metro Detroit's Jewish and Arab American communities are reacting with frustration and anger at times, but are also looking at ways to keep the peace among the region's diverse population. In Dearborn, Arab American advocates are planning free protests Tuesday against President Joe Biden during his visit. Yes, free. During his visit to a city that is almost half Arab American. Biden is to speak about
half. Half.
Woo! Woo!
That's a lot of folk. That's half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Biden is to speak about electric vehicles during a stop at a Ford Rouge plant located in a section of Dearborn that's estimated to be more than 90% Arab American Muslim, many of them strong supporters of Palestinians.
So Collin, what would one might think coming into an election year that a large metropolitan area, I don't know how big is Dearborn?
Oh, I want to say about 300,000.
Okay.
I want to say. I feel it might be more than that. If anyone in the chat can Google that real quick.
And compared to the other cities in the states, like it might be a large portion of that state for delegate wise. And who knows?
Right. Right.
But that could be indicative of the whole state too. you know?
Yes.
So, depending, like, that would mean Michigan would be up, you know, might be flipping.
Yeah.
So, that's why they're worried about it. And this was in 2021, and they're like, they still kind of feel that way. They're still like, nah, motherfucker,
Right.
send my regards. Y'all fucking gonna learn.
Right. So basically what I'm saying that this isn't a new thing.
Yes.
This has been happening for his whole term. That this community, the only difference now is that now it's more mainstream now.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that reading this article, they had issues with this issue back then. It just wasn't right. It's just, again, we weren't around then. So, you know, like our show started in March of 2022. So INN and INN News wasn't around to talk about this back then. But this just goes to show, like, so all the people who are like, Arab Americans in Dearborn have no right to feel this way. Actually, yes, they do. Because they've had an issue with this. Because they've had this issue. They've been asking for Biden to do something 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yes,
the demonstrations would be the latest of several here held in Dearborn over the past week, as Arab American activists in Michigan are outraged by Biden's support of Israel over its attacks in Jerusalem and Gaza, where more than 200 have been killed, most of them Palestinians. Dearborn is 47% Arab American, most of them Muslim, the highest percentage among cities in the U.S. Israeli officials maintain. They are defending themselves from Hamas rocket attacks and violence from some Palestinian extremities. Some on both sides in Metro Detroit have loved ones living in Israel and the Palestinian territories they are concerned about.
I mean, they're talking about Palestinian extremists again. There's that word again.
Right.
Phrase, I should
say. On Monday, Israel struck in Gaza again, the Associated Press reported. There's a huge concern right now about what's happening in Gaza, said Sufyan Naban, a Palestinian immigrant who is the executive director of the Islamic Center of Detroit, a mosque with a majority is Palestinian congregation. Israel is doing extra force that is not needed. People are very mad. So I think this is the next slide. Yep. So I got curious.
Oh yeah, this was me and Indy covered this. We were one of the few people covering this.
Yeah.
Like,
so if you want to zoom in, I pulled this from Reuters. AP's top. So that's bombing that this was mentioned.
Yeah.
So again, this is back in May 2021. AP's top editor wants investigation into Israeli bombing of its Gaza office. So if you scroll down for me, please.
Yeah.
The Associated Press top editor wants an independent investigation into Israel's bombing of a building in Gaza that was home to her news organization as well as broadcaster Al Jazeera. AP Executive Director Sally Busby said her organization had not seen any evidence from Israeli officials to justify the bombing, which leveled the 12-story Al-Hala Tower block on Saturday. Israeli officials said they carried out the strike because Hamas was operating an intelligence cell out of that office building. So if you scroll over.
Yep, it was Hamas again.
Yeah. We heard the Israelis say they have evidence, she told CNN's reliable sources. We don't know what that evidence is. We think it is appropriate at this point for there to be an independent look at what happened yesterday. Israelis provided advance warning to civilians in the building, allowing them to get out before missiles obliterated the structure.
Yeah.
Speaking on Sunday on CBS Face the Nation program, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that there was an intelligence office for the Palestinian terrorist organization housed in that building that plots and organizes terror attacks against Israeli civilians, so it's a perfectly legitimate target.
Yeah.
So this just kind of shows. So no one heard about Hamas prior to October.
No.
No, but the point is, and this is what we've been saying. This did not start October 7th. This issue has been you can make this has been an issue since 1948, but more recently, again, we're reading this from 2021. And this shit was happening back then.
Yeah.
And the Arab community in Dearborn had issues with Biden about this back then. And they asked for a ceasefire back then. So the idea of calling for a ceasefire really is nothing new. It's just now it's become more mainstream. So really, it's the idea now, like they're justified now to really be like, shit.
Justified.
Right. Yeah, because this is years. They've been watching this happen for years. And now it kind of kicked off October 7th where the straw broke the camel's back. It's like, no, we've had enough.
Yeah.
So, so basically it's been this whole term that they plead with Biden, ceasefire, please. Our families are dying. And Biden has not given a shit.
But what is Biden making sure is happening over in Baltimore again?
Another cop city.
Fuck you, Baltimore.
But anyway, so going back to the Detroit Free Press article, when they say Israel has a right to defend itself and then they don't give the right of people being occupied to defend itself, Siblani said, that doesn't make sense. Siblani, who helped organize the 1 p.m. protest at the Dearborn police station, stressed that their protest was not aimed at Ford Motor Company, which is hosting Biden's visit to promote electric cars.
Of course.
Michigan's two senators, Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters, were initially not among the 28 Democratic senators who called Sunday for a ceasefire, disappointing Arab Americans and Muslim groups who had endorsed their campaigns in previous years. But late Monday night, Peter posted on Twitter that he now supports the ceasefire. My guess is he got some heat from the community, and this was his response. The images, you can zoom out, I can read that.
Yeah, you're good.
The images we've seen out of the Middle East are gut-wrenching. For Israelis and Palestinians, families losing loved ones, children living under constant fear of attack, livelihoods shattered, the human toll is simply heartbreaking. I agree with President Biden's support for a ceasefire and urge this administration to continue working with our allies to de-escalate this conflict and establish a meaningful peace. Again, May 17th, 2021 was probably among the first calls for a ceasefire.
Sure.
That we're able to find.
That's
so
cool. Yeah.
So moving to today, where we're talking to our administration about
White House
ceasefire.
The White House Secretary.
Right. Let's see what she says.
The president has faced a lot of criticism in Michigan from the Arab American community. What does he say? What's his message to them, those who feel disenchanted by the Gaza operation?
So a couple of things. Obviously, as Armour was asking me, tomorrow he's going to be going to Michigan. It's going to be a political organized trip that is going to be done by the campaign. So any itinerary or pieces like that are related to that particular trip, the campaign could answer to that more broadly, obviously. But what I would want to say is that the president has met with Americans with varying opinions about the conflict that we're seeing, sadly, in Israel and Hamas. Officials at the White House have had numerous conversations and in regular contact with Muslim and Arab Americans leaders in Michigan and across the country.
Is that Hamas, baby?
Okay. Get some water. Concerned for him.
He's got COVID.
And look, the president's going to continues to believe that Israel has a right to defend himself. They have a right to defend itself as long as they continue. It is done in accordance of international humanitarian law. So we will continue to have those conversations with them. At the same time, he is heartbroken by the suffering of innocent Palestinians. That is, who have been caught in the middle of this conflict, sadly, and between obviously Israel and Hamas. And he continues to press for humanitarian aid. You've heard the admiral speak to that when he was getting a couple of questions on that. And when we've had the humanitarian pauses in the past, we've been able to get about 100 hostages home to go back to their family and friends, right? There are families and loved ones who are heartbroken right now, waiting for their loved ones to come home. That is very important.
Can you go fuck yourself?
And also to make sure we get that much needed humanitarian aid into Gaza. And so this is what this administration has been doing around the clock, trying to get to another humanitarian pause so that we can get that much needed assistance into Gaza and get those hostages home to their loved ones.
Rachel, this speech is boring and paranoid.
Well, I would argue, where's this aid that you've been trying to get into Gaza for the last 3 years?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So again, I thought it was important to kind of share that second article just to give a little bit more context, because I don't want people to think that the calls for a ceasefire, and I think that's what people are thinking, that the calls for a ceasefire are relatively new. They're not. This has been at least 3 years in the making, that this administration has ignored this community in terms of their big ask to defend Palestinians from Israel, and they haven't given a damn. So now that you have this context now, and I saw Dr. Omar Soleimani speak at the first Palestine rally back in November. So I wanted to play this clip again, shorter clip, just to kind of give some more context, because this community has asked for a ceasefire now for 3 years. So now, well, he will tell you now where they stand now.
Thinks that he can use his double speak on our community and come back to us and beg us for our votes. Let it be known to all of those, including Joe Biden, and all of those congressmen who failed to see our humanity today and who failed to hear our voices today, that we will not see their names on the ballot next year, and we will not hear them when they come calling upon us next year. And that we will not allow for them to tell us anymore that the only refuge we have from right-wing racists are two-faced liberals.
Two-faced liberals.
I mean, right. So what more can be said? So Arab Americans, Muslim Americans have every right to withhold their vote, because they have not gotten this ask from Biden. And so who's really that bad? Like, yeah, yeah, people are like, oh, Trump is going to put you in a, is going to ban you from coming here. Well, first of all, who would want to come to this cockamamie country to begin with? Number one.
Cockamamie, huh?
No, like, yeah, but
well,
like,
Collin,
that's not, like,
Collin,
that's not frat.
President Trump incited an erection.
It incited an erection.
Like, like, that's not frat. Like, if you can't come in, that's probably a good thing.
It's
honestly,
Collin, we got to save the soul of democracy. This is
the most election of our lifetime.
The most election of our lifetime.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I think so. Share that clip with your friends. Share that article with your friends, and share it with the Zionists who are like, "This story is on October 7th." No, bitch. You know, if you want to go to some recent history, this has been an issue. You can argue, obviously, for 948, but more recently, at least from what we have,
Yeah,
since the beginning of this administration, at least.
since the beginning.
So
do what he said. Share this. Do all the buttons. Hit the like one. It's down there. Little thumbs up. Hit that thing. You know, leave a comment. You know you want to tell us something.